Hey everyone, I'm really excited about today's video. I'm going to be doing a curtains middle part haircut. I keep getting requests for this 8 years later, so I'm going to continue to do them, and I'm really excited about this. So I've got 3 different camera angles. Figures I have tens of thousands of dollars worth of cinema cameras, so I'm going to actually use them. All right, what I'm doing is I'm just going to be combing out the hair, and I'm going to start by mapping out the area of where the center part is going to live. But the first thing is I sprayed in 25 spray. If you want healthy hair, you want to get rid of tangles and knots fast, my anti-static vent brush and 25 go hand in hand, and also it helps keep the hair nice and moisturized while it's being cut. It's like your multivitamin for your hair. Now I'm going to focus on, with these types of center part haircuts, I always say there has to be like a focal point of the haircut, which typically for these, it's going to be in the front area. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to comb through the hair like so, and I'm going to find the center part, which typically you can do that in 2 ways. You can comb the hair back and push it forward, and the hair will pretty much generally split right down the middle. So that's one quick way to do it, especially if your hair is a lot longer, or you can try to do it with the comb like this and spend a lot of time, but that's a quick way of how to do it. And then next thing is I like to make sure that I'm showing the division point between the front and the back, and I just tap right above the ear a little bit and the hair will separate. So I know that this is the front, this is the area that we have to really kind of maintain and keep longer, and that this is the back. So once again, if you comb the hair down and you push forward a little bit, you can see the hair is going to want to split. And where it splits typically is where the division point is going to be. Division point means dividing. That's literally all that means, is dividing the front from the back. All right, so once I get this out of the way, I'm ready to start cutting. I'm going to start cutting in the back of the head. And the reason is that I want to just get rid of all this hair first. So I'm not using any sort of clippers. I'm not going to be using any sort of, like skin fades or nothing like that. It's literally just going to be me combing down and cutting with scissors and the shears. So I'm going to push this hair out of the way. Let's go right down the middle like this. And I'm going to take my first section, which is going to be right down here in the bottom. And I'm going to go pretty much right to the hairline, which is about right there. I do want to make this relatively shorter, but again, all done by hand, no clippers or anything like that. And the first thing I'm doing is I'm establishing the length, and I'm just getting rid of a lot of that heaviness and that length right off the bat. I'm not using any sort of clips. I'm just combing the hair, getting it out of the way, and cutting. Just push the hair, and there it is, out of the way. No need for 96 clips or 84 sections. Just comb it and push it out of the way. The hair will pretty much, especially when it's wet, it's going to stay because the hair is easily maneuverable when it's a lot more damp, right? And especially when it's like really wet. So again, this is, if you're somebody who's watching this, and lately I've been getting so many comments from people saying like, oh, Salon Guy, I just watched your video and I've been to like 10 stylists or 10 barbers, and I finally got a good haircut from watching your videos. I appreciate that. I always say, like, do it at your own risk. If you are somebody who can follow along and cut this, that's great. Being that I am a professional, I may be using some more advanced techniques or verbiage or terminology that you may understand. If you do need to understand technical things when it comes to haircutting, right here you can purchase under View Products. I created a digital download PDF ebook for only $10. That's it. One for men's hair, which is the red one, and the pink one for women's hair. And basically it describes haircut shapes, and it's going to help you understand what you need to know when it comes to cutting hair as far as the shapes and for the head shape and all that. So it's here for you to help you. But I think you really need to understand there's a lot more into haircutting than what you think. So all right, now that I got the length out of the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to cut the top. Now I do want to have a little bit of length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb the hair out to where I think I want that length to be, which is going to be right in this area in through here. Let's push this out of the way, and I'm going to work my way downwards like so, right in this panel, combing the hair out. And now we're going to be cutting shorter going down this way. Now I'm going to only stand here one last section because I'm not going to throw myself in an awkward position and hurt my body. So I'm literally just going to push this out of the way. Now we are ready to rock and roll. And I'm going to cut this out, looking for the guide. There's the guide from the previous section. And I'm going to hold on to that for dear life. And I'm going to cut this down. All right, one more section right here on top of that. And there's the guide. And then we'll finish up the very, very bottom after I get to that spot. Because right now, again, I'm focusing on just creating the layers and the shape in through here. So let's comb this out. Look for the guide. There it is. And cut. So a lot of hair cutting to be successful is following a pattern. If you've noticed, once again, I'm one who does not take 80, like a whole bunch. You see a lot of people on social media. It looks nice. It's super flashy. I feel like if you're a real hairstylist and you're seeing clients, you don't have time to make 18 different sections. And if you do, then hopefully you're quick enough to do it at a good speed, because it does take some time, right? It's not like a 1, 2, 3 thing. Creating a lot of those sections and twisting it up takes some time. So I'm going to comb this out this way. I'm going to maintain a little bit of that length and that weight in through here before I get rid of it and cut it. So, all right, this side for the most part up here is complete. So let's push this out of the way. We're now going to move on to the other side, which is now this way. Push this out of the way. And hello, other side, nice to meet you. There's the guide. And I'm cutting upwards, holding on to the guide for dear life, pulling a hair straight out from the head. And there it is. Okay, one last section before we go too low and break your back. Next section, push this hair out of the way. The one thing I will say about sections and stuff like that is that you do want to make sure that you are cutting, like you're seeing your sections, right? So even though I'm not like clipping hair up and all that, make sure that you can clearly see what you're cutting. And if you can't, then that means your section is too thick. So that means take a thinner section. It's that simple. Okay, now I'm combing away from me to preserve that hair, and I'm cutting upwards like that. One last section in through here before we go low. Comb this hair all out of the way, and there it is right there. All right, so one final section here before we go into the sides, combing it straight out. There's the guide. We're going to cut that. There's the guide. Get rid of it. And let's do one last piece right here, combing it away from us. And boom, there we go. Now, it's time to work in through the bottom. And that is going to be right in through here. I'm going to tilt the head down slightly like so. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look where this left off, right? There is the guide from underneath. And now I'm going to cut downwards. I'm cutting down on an angle. And that's going to allow us to get low. There's the guide, and connect everything that we left down here. And let's go low right here to the very, very bottom, and boom. I can stand in that same body position. I don't have to put myself in like a real awkward position. I can literally just stand in the one spot, and we're good to go. Okay, just want to raise this up a little bit because so I have a good angle on it. All right, there it is, looking for that guide from above. And now I'm cutting downwards. So this allows you to really keep your posture, and when you switch to cutting palm to palm, that allows you to get really, really close to the head. And that's one thing that, you know, is really beneficial, so you're not hurting yourself. So I'm combing this down, looking for that hair. There it is, hello, and cutting it. Now, I don't know how many of you are getting this, you know, haircut still, the curtain style haircut. That's cool if you are, you know. It's, again, your hair, you wear it how you want. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, as we go down this way, here we go. Following the pattern. And this becomes, you know, relatively easy. Well, I don't want to say easy because even, you know, I've seen lots of professionals that can't even do this. But as long as you're following the pattern of how you cut the hair and a flow and a system, then it's going to help keep you at least somewhat consistent. Because consistency is the key to really, really good hair cutting. Right? That's really what it comes down to, is consistency. So I'm being consistent with following a pattern of cutting. And that's helping me. Okay, let's go down to, now we're getting into this corner over here. This is where we're going to start to see a lot more hair because we left that corner from before. And there it is. Okay. Next section. Right in here. And there it is. We're going to get rid of that corner. And boom. Perfect. Right there. All right. So now let's comb this all down. And we've got a beautiful shape. What I'm going to do is just do a once over, just to make sure that everything is flowing nicely and that we have a good blend. There it is. Combing the hair in different directions, combing it vertically, combing it horizontally. You know, you want to, once again, make sure that like everything really, really is even Steven. And I'm looking for that flow. I'm looking for that consistency, looking for any sort of excess weight. And, you know, a lot of the times you can go back when the hair is dry, and that's when you're really going to be able to get rid of a lot of that too. If the hair is heavy, we can thin it out when it's dry. But this is really just checking and cross-checking. Okay. Great. Now, let's work in through and make this connection right into here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb this hair down, and I want to connect this into this part right here. Great. All right, so let's comb this down. I want to try to preserve some of that length right in through here. So there we go. And let's comb this down. Just even out those ends right there. So I'm trying to preserve that front area. And for these types of haircuts, you always want to make sure you're leaving it a little bit longer. All right? So that's looking perfect right there. Cool. Now let's do the other side. I'm going to comb this down. I should see where that length is. Right in through here. This hair is so thick, I swear. Okay, let's cut this. Now I'm just using the comb as my fingers. Let's comb this down. Now I just want to check to make sure that we are even Steven. Let's pull this out. Wow. I can't believe this. Even Steven. All right, let's comb this straight down. Just skim those little edges right there. And let's do that on this side right here. All right, perfect. All right, so as you can see, we're getting on with the kind of middle part look. And now I want to continue the layering. So this is where the layering comes in. We did create that layered shape on top going up into this area. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue that shape going towards the head. So let's comb this back. And now I'm going to look to see what's happening on top. There should be some hair that's longer. Yes, there it is. So you do want to cut slightly shorter to longer because that is going to help keep that triangular curtain flow shape. I like to cut these more of a triangular shape. And if you have, again, if you have no idea what that is, then you have to purchase my downloadable ebook, my haircut handbook guide, to understand what haircut shapes are. If you're that interested in learning shapes and what haircuts are best for you, you can invest $10, trust me. All right. Now I'm going back in time just to make sure that all of this is connected and blended nicely. If there's any parts that aren't, I'm just gonna skim them off because this is all about having a nice flow, right? A nice connection. This is, a lot of times I've seen lots of haircuts, specifically more with barbers, that skip over, they'll do like great skin fades and low tapers, but when it comes to all this stuff, you know, they really cut corners and the precision really isn't there, and it's kind of like, I can see it in a lot of haircuts, and it's like challenging, you know, so. All right, now that we have the top and the back connected together, it's time to layer this part, working towards the face, then the corners and the sides. Okay, here we go. So straight up, there's the guide right there, and I'm cutting straight across. Let's take another sliver from right there. I'm going to comb this straight out from the head. And let's see what we have here. Not a whole lot of length to work with, which is good. All right, so we're not done because I just cut that top right there. Now it's time to work in the corners. And the corners is where all of this rounds out. And I'm looking for that right there. There it is. Because I just don't want this to be so heavy. If you do cut it square, it's going to be very, very heavy. If you cut it more rounded, it's not going to be as heavy. So I'm going to cut this a bit more rounded to have a little more free-flowing look so it's not like so mushroomy. Let's comb this over direct back slightly because of the corner. Now, speaking of all that, here's where a lot of hair might come off, down in through this area. Okay, the bottom. So let's comb this out of the way. probably going to be a bunch of hair coming off. Not a whole bunch, but there's a little bit right there. Let's check this out. And where is it? Oh, just a little bit. Next part right here. There's just a little bit. And right here in the very, very bottom, just a little bit. Okay. So we've got the flow going on. This is looking good. I'm liking this. And I'm going to get rid of a lot of this excess weight when the hair is dry, because it is a little bit heavy still, but I'm loving the shape of this. So the curtains haircut is forming in. We did create some soft flow right in through here. And once again, like I always say, we still have the other side to do. Can't forget about the other side. All right, let's comb this all down. Once again, I'm going to cut this more rounded. So I'm going to comb this out, and there it is right there. Rounded means I am cutting the corners right in through here to follow the head shape. In my opinion, this grows out the best. And it's really important to understand the difference between a round shape, a square shape, and a triangular shape. Even though I did cut this triangular up here, I'm now cutting this round down and through here. All right, as we progress down to the bottom, there's where the hair is heavier. And if you don't do this, it's going to be extremely mushroomy, if that makes any sense. It's going to look very, very heavy, and you're going to think like, oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of hair just sitting on top of my head with no flow to it. So if you want the flow, then you got to do this. Or have this done. Now, if you're a professional watching this, then you're going to get, this is like pure educational for you. If you're a client, just watching this and you're hoping and praying to get a haircut from your person who can't do this in the first place, then good luck. Because I always say, it's really important to get someone who really understands haircut shapes. And if you're not getting it, then maybe it's time to break up, even though you may not want to, but you're paying for a haircut, you're paying for a service, and it's only right that you get what you're paying for. Okay, last section right here in the front. I'm really trying to, there it is, see all that heaviness and that weight? That's what I'm looking for. Let's comb this all back. I'm really liking the flow on this. Let's comb this part down right here. It's a little long, right in the sideburn area. Just want to get rid of that more. One little section here. Perfect. Great. Now, here comes the Mohawk section, which is a section that I do right down the middle. This is going to check the balance. Let's comb this all back. And this is going to this is combining the two sides, and we're going right in the middle. Now, also pay close attention. The hair doesn't grow up, it grows out. So I'm combing this out from the head. Now, I know you're saying, oh, it's a mannequin, but this is human hair. And, this is pretty universal for most people. The hair grows out from the head. Great. This is, in my opinion, the best way to check to make sure everything is balanced and even. Looking good. Let's see here. A little bit right there. Let's go on the other side. And then what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to do some freehand cutting. I'm going to use some feather razor. I'm going to use some thinning shears and things, especially when the hair is dry. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and just look and do some slide cutting from underneath to help remove a little more of that excess weight. And I'm just closing and sliding the shears from underneath. This is a great technique. Again, this is something a bit more advanced, but it's going to help loosen up and free up the hair just slightly, especially from underneath this way. It's kind of like invisible layering. Works great on, I mean, this hair is 100% straight. So if you've got straight hair, then fine. If you have wavy hair, then it'll still look good. It's just a different type of technique, you know? All right. Since we already have 25 spray in, let's go back to finding that middle part. Right through here, let's comb this out of the way. Push this forward, let the hair split right down the middle. There it is. And we're looking good here. Now it's time for the blow dry. I'm going to spray a little bit of my Tidal Wave sea salt spray. 3 spritzes there. 1, 2, 3 spritzes here. So 6 spritzes in total. You don't need a lot of it. And I just want a little bit of texture. A little texture right in through here. Now, there are obviously variations of this haircut, meaning you can go shorter. You can go longer. This is kind of, since everybody's so obsessed with having longer hair, I figured this would be a good spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow dry this, and then we can move forward. Okay, here we go. So there we can see, take a nice look here. Just spinning the hair all the way around. It's got a great flow to it. So it's like a, curtain flow, basically. Now, I did mention I felt this was a little bit heavy underneath, like right in through the ears, and through this area, right down and through here. So what I'm going to do is thin this out like crazy because this hair is so thick. And this happens sometimes when, especially working on clients over the years, I've had people say, oh, can you go shorter? Actually, it's like, look, if you're a client getting your hair cut and all of a sudden after someone's been cutting your hair for 45 minutes to an hour, then you go, can you go shorter? I just spent an hour cutting your hair. So you need to be clear to me from the beginning or right when I start cutting, oh, let's go shorter, okay? All right, here we go. Let's get rid of all this bulk in through here. I'm just going from underneath and just chomping away, getting rid of a lot of this. And it's really gonna help with the shape, right? To get rid of a lot of that. Look how much of that hair I'm taking off right here. Look at all that. Tons and tons right here. Lots of hair. And I'm really only doing this where I think it needs it and where it's the heaviest. You can even do it up top, there's a lot of hair on top too. There, perfect. Now the curtains are closing. There it is. You can see here the curtain, how it's closing a little bit. All right, now it's time to go to town on this side. I would appreciate, and I've been doing more of these videos, as I mentioned. If you're not subscribed, you have to subscribe. If you want to keep updated with all my videos, all my content, please subscribe. Like the video, the likes really help. And, I'm going back to my old school roots of just doing haircuts. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. That's all this is, no flashy gimmicks. I am using 3 cinema cameras. These are all high-end cinema cameras that I have access to all this stuff in my studio. I've got red camera, I've got, I even have a C300 Mark III in the back in a different room that I'm not even using. But I have 3 Canon cinema cameras that I'm using right here to film all this. And then I do all the editing and, it's a lot of work. A lot of work goes into this. But as far as everything else, these are just straight up tutorials, right? Hair tutorials so that you can get some value from this, maybe get better haircuts. If you want to purchase any of my products, you can get them right here or the shop.thesalonguy.com, code YouTube20. Special discount code just for everyone here on YouTube. So I appreciate the support. Now, I would suggest just shaking the hair a bit because what's going to happen is because we thinned it out so much, you're going to get a ton of hair flying out, right? Tons and tons of hair. So let's have some fun. Let's experiment here. Here is what this looks like. I mean, this came out friggin' phenomenal, man. Look at this. This is what this looks like with, no product in it. No finishing products, right? No finishing. It's just from the Tidal Wave and 25 spray. But look how awesome that looks. It's got a beautiful flow to it. It's got really, really good angles, really sharp, nice and really nice haircut. Really, really nice look. And if you want, you can pull these pieces down a bit more. If you want to accentuate them, totally up to you. But, in order to get that curtains type of look, you got to push it back and then close the curtains, right? And then pull it forward like this. There, just like that. Now, let's use some product. I want to experiment, and I have a product of mine that just pay close attention to the mannequin as we do this. I'm looking for, here it is. It's a favorite product of mine, and it's the Crafted Matte Pomade. Here it is right here, the Crafted Matte Pomade. Probably by far one of my favorite products to work with, in all honesty, as far as pomades go. It's not shiny. It gives you that like instant, oh, it smells phenomenal. It's got just a light scent to it. It gives you that lived in next day type of look. And that's why I like this so much. So you take a scoop out and you're gonna work it through your hands. Make sure you're working it through the fingertips as well, or not the tips, but like your fingers, and work it through and keep working it through. Break through that barrier of where it's like initially a little bit, you know, oh, you feel like there's product, and once you break through it, it gets nice and soft and becomes a very, very lived in next day type of look. So there it is. I got it really well saturated in my hands, and I'm going to apply it like so. And what I love about this is it just tames the hair so nicely. So if you're somebody who has like a lot of problems with frizz, you got a lot of problems where the hair just, you know, gets a little bit like somewhat dry looking. You want something that's going to tame your hair. And there's so much hair coming out right now because of how much I thinned it. I thinned this thing so much. It's like there's hair everywhere. So yeah, look at all that hair. I may have to reapply the product on this side. But I'm just getting rid of all this hair right in through here. I actually really enjoy doing these types of videos, to be honest with you. Like just full on old school tutorials of me just doing hair, right? That's how it all started 30 something years ago for me. All right, there we go. Perfect. So now I'm gonna just bring this back and I'm going to just brush all this hair back off the face. Brush this all back off the face, and it gives it that perfect lived-in type of look. This is not a somewhat traditional, super heavy, shiny, greasy pomade, but that's what I love about this. And here's one example of like a kind of a side part. We got a little volume and a little bit of texture right through here. You could pull some pieces down like this. And as this dries, I can tell you one thing. As this dries, you can wear it down the middle if you want it a little more piecey. It dries in such a nice soft shape. Such a nice soft shape, and it has like that second day lived in look, which you may think, oh, does it make your hair look dirty? Well, kind of. That's what like lived in means. But it really just gives you that like yeah, I keep calling it lived in, but there's a few other names I could call this. Like you see some like dude at a bar with like a leather coat who is like trying to pick up your chick. That's what this kind of hair looks like, you know? But if you want to use purchase any of the products, I invite you to. I really appreciate all the support. You can leave me a super chat here if you want, a donation or whatever. My ebooks, all of it. They're all available for you guys. Let me know if you enjoyed this and if this is a haircut you have. Do you want this haircut? I'd love to hear your feedback. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you soon.